Hey everyone, welcome to the channel and another review, where today we're talking about Downton Abbey, A New Era. Alright, with that, let's get into the review. So, a brief synopsis. In this film, a motion picture is filmed at Downton Abbey, and the Crawley family goes on a grand journey to the south of France to uncover the mystery of the Dowager Countess's newly inherited villa. So my anticipation going into this film was, I would say it was moderate. Downton Abbey is one of my favorite shows, and I did enjoy the last film, but the last film wasn't like my favorite thing ever. It was a nice film and, an opportunity to revisit and kind of reconnect with the characters, but it didn't quite match the heights of the show, in my opinion. So I did rewatch that film this last week, kind of in anticipation of this. I haven't rewatched it since I saw it in theaters back in, I think it was 2019. But I think that, yeah, that kind of had me at moderate expectations that this would be kind of something of the similar sort of thing where I'd enjoy it, but yeah, wasn't necessarily going to quite match the series heights. So with that, let's jump into the review portion and see and just discuss, what I thought of the film. So first up, we're going to go over some of the things that I liked about it. I did actually enjoy the premise of this. I mean, it's a little, I think you can certainly laugh if you want at kind of the premise of some of these things, like the last film that's like, oh, the king and queen are visiting Downton and the water heater breaks. That's what this movie is about. And in this one, we've got, a film being shot at Downton, and then, a villa being inherited by the Dowager Countess. So I think they're on some level a little bit silly, but that's what Downton is, and that's what I think fans of the show enjoy. And at its core, it is more about the characters than the actual plot. So I thought the premise was good, and I thought that the kind of mystery that's involved with that, like why is the Dowager getting this villa, what's up with all that, and kind of how that plays out, kept me engaged throughout the film. So I thought that served its purpose on that front. It was really nice to be able to, kind of revisit this world and these characters and just get to reconnect with them. I think one of the things that I do enjoy about these films is it's not just like a check-in, but they do actually progress the overall story forward and significant things happen. So that was the case with the 2019 film, and it continues to be the case here. Well, that's all I'll say. I won't really go into spoilers, but it does, I think things happen in this film, and if you were to ignore this, and if they make another film, I think you would feel like something's missing if you didn't see this. So I think otherwise, I do enjoy the characters. I think in this film specifically, the characters that I enjoyed most were Tom and Lucy. It was good to see them kind of continue their relationship that began in the last film, or was just starting to begin. Other characters that I liked a lot as well in this film were Edith and Mary. It's nothing terribly new, like these are characters we're very familiar with, but they certainly got a good portion of screen time, and I thought they were, it was nice to see them again. And as always, seeing the Dowager Countess was, she's such a delight to see on screen. Her wit and, everything, how the character is written and how Maggie Smith plays the character is just a treat to see anytime you can. So definitely a lot of, zingers when it comes to her lines, and I think a lot of good quotes there. So that, continues to be the case. I think some of the characters who maybe, well, I guess now we're kind of getting into the things I maybe didn't care about. Well, not necessarily. Some of the characters, I thought they didn't really highlight as much, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. I thought that, the, Lord and Lady Grantham aren't all that present in this film, although, I mean, I guess they kind of are, now that I think about it a little bit more. Lord Grantham, I think, is a bit more present in this film. But, Lady Grantham, I think they're just kind of there. And, the plot sort of touches on them. But they, don't come across as all that like active in the plot. They're just kind of experiencing it and not necessarily driving it. So that's, I don't know. I feel like that's just the direction they've gone with those characters, and that's kind of been the case definitely in the previous movie and towards the end of the series as a whole. So I just kind of miss when they were, a little bit more in charge. But hey, now we have Mary who's in charge of Downton. So it's always, another good one who's, I think a lot of people were laughing throughout the film at this character, and just it was so fun to see Carson back again. He's very comedic, not like a Jim Carrey sort of comedy, but it's Carson in his own way, just being thoroughly amusing to watch. So, and then lastly, I've actually thought Mosley was done pretty well in this film. I haven't necessarily connected that much with that character, but I thought he had a nice storyline throughout this film, and that's kind of all I'll say on that front. And with that kind of wraps up the things that I liked about the film. There were a couple things that I didn't care for as much. The first off was some of the editing, going back and forth between kind of the two storylines for the villa in France and the filming at Downton Abbey. It felt a little strange sometimes how we would get like a very brief scene at one of the locations or in one of the storylines and then bounce back to the other. So I feel like some of them, sometimes they should have strung a few scenes together and then hopped over, mainly because they were plots that were going on at the same time, but I didn't feel like they were super connected where they merited being like that tightly edited, where it was just like a short scene here, a short scene there, and kind of bouncing back. It doesn't do that all the time, but there's a couple spots that I thought were kind of noticeable. And then the other thing, and this is kind of similar to the 2019 movie, is I think this format, while it's fun to reconnect with the characters, is not quite as good as the series format. So having, a whole season to tell a story, or individual episodes to tell kind of in like single chapters, I think that's the format that works best for this. But when we're dealing with a movie, that's basically like it's a short series or a short season, or it's a really long episode, and that's kind of how it feels. It feels like some things it was too short. Like I want more of it. I enjoyed these characters, but then other parts like the plot lines are a little drawn out, and then it's also kind of focusing on things all over the place. Like I feel like it somehow has the need or feels the need to kind of bring in all the characters and have them play a part in the story for the most part. They do let some kind of stay out of the focus, like Mr. Bates is not really a big character. Mrs. Hughes, there's a couple, but for the most part, I think they feel obligated to give everyone screen time, which I think is fair. Like I understand where that's coming from, but when you do that for everyone, it kind of dilutes the focus, and yeah, I think the end result is a little bit weaker than when we look at things in the show. Everyone got their moment over the course of a season, but you'd have individual episodes that would focus on specific characters or specific storyline, and I think that just worked better. Whereas kind of cramming it all into 2 hours, it feels like, on that front, it feels like a bit much. But since it's significantly shorter than a season, it feels too short. Like I do want more of these characters. So it's definitely a mixed feeling. But yeah, that kind of wraps up my thoughts on the film. So just a couple nitpicks, I would say, and it's mainly just great to see these characters again, ones that I've grown to love over seasons and hours of TV. So overall, I would give this a B. It was a fun film, especially for me being a fan. I think if you're new to the series or if you haven't seen any of Downton Abbey, this probably wouldn't be that enjoyable of a film. It would probably be more of like a C, like maybe a little entertaining, but for me it was fun. It wasn't like a really good film. Again, letter grade is a B, so that's kind of middle of the road. It's a good film, but not a good film if you kind of get the difference between those. So Mainly though, it was just great to, be back at Downton Abbey, get to spend more time with these characters, and, if you're a fan of the show, I think you'll like it, and if not, I'd say go check out the show if you haven't checked it out yet, and then go see it. So, yeah, with that, if you've seen the movie, definitely share your thoughts in the comments down below. I would love to hear them. And if you've enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of my reviews. Alright, with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next review.